Everyone, this is Keith Atherton. I'm joined by the wonderful Nathan Rose today. Hi, Nathan. Good to see you.
Kia ora, Keith. How's it going?
I'm doing good, thanks. Yeah, it's Friday tomorrow. Week's going well. Looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah, not to rub it in, but it's already Friday here in the future. So, again, if you need sports scores, stock tips, future predictions, I'm your man.
That could
Yeah.
could could bring retirement a bit earlier. That sounds good. That sounds good. Awesome, man. Well, yeah, everyone, Nathan and I today, we're going to talk about something that we've just taken part in, and that's the 90-day mentoring challenge, which is run by Mark Smith and also his wife, Meg Smith, as well. And together they put on a really great program, and we really did learn a lot. So
Oh man, we
it
learn a
was so
lot.
good. Yeah, I don't know how much we're going to fit into this one video, but it was fantastic. If you want to learn more, the website is ako.nz365guy.com. And there you can learn all about the challenge, how you take part, what's going to be involved. And as it sounds, it's 90 days and you really, you kind of deal a lot with other people on the program. So Nathan and I were on the last cohort. We took part in that. So just quick highlight for you, Nathan. How did you find it in general?
Yeah, so Keith, this was the second time that I went through Mark's 90-day mentoring challenge. So the last time he ran it was in 2022, and I took it, and that was kind of the genesis of everything starting to fall in place for me in terms of my community involvement and becoming an MVP and all these really amazing things that have happened all came out of doing that. And so when I saw that Mark was offering it again, I was really excited because I I would say I probably did 10% of the things he recommended to do when I first took it in 2022, and I just saw my career go like that. And so yeah, I was really keen to take it again, absorb more of the content. It's like drinking from the fire hose. I mean, Mark there's just this torrent of stuff that he gives you, and it's just amazing. And yeah, so I was super keen to do it again. So glad I went through it. Made some lifelong friends as part of the cohort. Yeah, it was a fantastic experience.
Oh, that's great to hear. And the fact you took it a second time as well is probably testament to how valuable you found it. Do you mind me asking how different did you find the content the second time round? Was there a lot of updates, a lot of new content, or was it similar?
Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of the basic building blocks were similar. So the program starts, the first cohort is about communication, and candidly, Mark could develop a course just around that because there's so much rich content there. Um, but a lot of those bits, navigating Microsoft, creating a personal brand, those building blocks were in the first, the first time I did it a few years ago. But Mark has updated and enriched the content considerably. So it's yeah, there's a lot there, and then of course he's added so much to it. I mean, it is um, I I'd say it's close to double the size of content it was a couple years ago. I mean, there's just so much there. Yeah, I mean, it is the value is incredible in terms of what he shares with you. And I mean, it's incumbent on us, the participants, to go out and do it, right? I mean, Mark can say, here's the tools to have a great career in biz apps. It's on you and me to go out and do those things. But if you do, man, you're just going to see your career go like that. It's incredible. So, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I totally agree. There was just so much valuable content and so much to go through that I found as well as we went along, there was sort of side recommendations for Mark as well, which is, here's a book recommendation, have a look into this, consider that. And I did find as well of, okay, I will earmark that, but I can't get through a
Yep.
book per day to keep up with the recommendations, at some
Yep.
stages. So
Yep.
I now have this separate list in Microsoft To Do of working through these books, mostly
Yep.
on Audible while I'm doing other things.
Yep.
And some I've actually got right in this room down here, some of the paperback copies, and I'll go through those as well. But
Yeah.
it was a similar thing, trying to keep up with this fire hose of info. And I think if I was to do it again, and I likely would do it again as well, as you say, Mark's keeping this up to date. This new one, there's so much on Copilot and many topical things that we knew, the hot things right now.
Yeah.
It's not Power Virtual Agents anymore. It's now we're looking at Copilot Studio. There's all these other things to consider. Is that I would
Yeah.
do it again for the updates, but also what did I miss the first time? What could I, what could I revisit and really double down and thoroughly
Yeah.
go through that material? So some
Yeah.
of the sections you mentioned there as well, some great ones on communication. Personal brand was a favorite of mine as well. And it's
Yeah.
something that I think if I'd done that sooner, my road to any kind of awards like super user or MVP may have come sooner, because these are things I've been
Yeah.
maybe subconsciously doing, but now it's spelt out in a very clear way of, duh, of course I should have been doing that.
Yeah.
Which are some of the modules would you say that resonated the most with you?
Yeah. I would say, so if you had to do a single module of the 90-day mentoring challenge, I would say if you just did the communication for influence one, you will see your life change dramatically. I mean, that's if you just did that one. Um, Now, I mean, all the rest of it builds on that. But that communication module is just so critical. And so that's kind of a personal favorite. Keith, did you have were there any modules that surprised you? Anything that surprised you as part of the challenge?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think for me, some of the highlights are similar. The communication had such like a breadth and a depth to it. There was so much to take in
Yeah.
and to consider. But in terms of ones where I was surprised, I would say I think there's one about an introduction to design thinking.
Yeah.
And I was quite lucky that around that same time I was on this mentoring challenge, I also took the Microsoft Catalyst partner training, which
Yep. Yep.
covered design thinking too, some of the rose thorn board and some of the other techniques that you
Yeah.
could use. But it was still like the level you can go into. And it's funny because we talked before we hit record that we're a similar age here, and we
Yep.
maybe have
Yep.
similar, similar experience career-wise and
Yep.
life-wise, that
Yep.
I must have been a consultant and done requirements gathering for over 20 years, right? I've done a lot of it. I've hit it from few different angles, or I've had my checklist of, let me ask about this,
Yep.
security, data migration, and so on and so on. But when I saw the design thinking about how you can tackle it and taking the customer on a journey and getting their perspectives, what are they looking for, it really made me empathize a bit more where they're coming from, and
Yep.
how to approach it for them, where they're going to get the most value and go on the journey with them. And I
Yeah.
think, yeah, that really opened my eyes to, wow, there's a whole new way I can do requirements gathering and work with them on that.
Yep.
But yes, same question back to you. It's a great question,
Yeah.
actually. Any surprises for you?
Yeah. So this is really embarrassing. I thought that the last bit, creating a personal brand, was going to be like, yeah.
Yeah,
And the stuff Mark went into, I was like, wow, I am Mickey Mouse in this department. Like I thought I was like acing the test, and there is so much that I'm not doing that I should be doing in terms of building my brand in around our space of biz apps that it was one of those where I expected to kind of be like doing that, doing that, doing that. And I was
nailed
like,
this. Yeah.
nope, not doing that, not doing that, not doing that, should be doing that. So yeah. Yeah, and I guess, Mark always says stay humble and curious. And so, case in point, you know, the minute the minute you think you've nailed it, you're probably setting yourself up for, getting taken to school. And yeah, so that was my biggest surprise, something that I thought I was excelling at. I've got a long way to go. So, and I'm glad I learned it, right? Like, I mean,
Mm,
you want to know, like, if there's gaps, I want to know what those are. So yeah, that was my
yeah.
biggest surprise.
I agree. It's almost like when I ask for feedback at work, and I'd like to think that I've, with enough years, I've got some maturity and can stand back and take that feedback
Yep.
and, see it for what it is and realize that's going to help me learn and grow and improve. But without
Yep.
that feedback and that honest feedback delivered in the right way,
Yep.
I wouldn't know. I'd have blind spots. I wouldn't know
Yep.
what I can improve or what I should improve. So it was, I've got to say, it was maybe a similar thing for me on the personal brand. And I'd say yours is already strong. So the very fact you've mentioned there's other things you can do, knowing that you've got a great YouTube channel, you cover plugins, low code plugins, so much of this really, really well. The fact that you've even seen some things, hey, I can improve on this or do X, Y, Z, that probably speaks a lot for what the module covers there, I would say.
Oh yeah. I mean, wherever you are in your biz apps career, right? Whether you are starting out, whether you're trying to get into biz apps, whether you're an MVP, like you are going to get so much value out of this program. Because Mark's one of those guys that I look at and I go, I want what you've got. I want to pattern my life and my career after the way you're doing things. I think you've got stuff figured out. And so, yeah, I just, I know I'm gushing like a fanboy here, but I've learned and grown so much from Mark and Meg and their work that, I'm truly appreciative for all that they've
Yeah.
done for me in my life. So yeah.
No, it's really, really great to hear that. And I can completely echo that because I think, with people like Mark and Meg and other people who've had this kind of experience of,
Yeah.
they've worked with Microsoft, they work for big
Yeah.
companies like IBM and many others, or they've,
Yep.
many in the cohort as well. We met many other people who do great community work already, or
Yep.
they're just starting out, or
Yep.
some people might be a bit more established with MVP awards and things like that as
Yep.
well. And there was also a lot of people who have worked for Microsoft before, returned back and become MVPs again, or
Yep.
like yourself, taken this program multiple times, and this is the second or third time. And
Yep.
it just shows that, wow, if they're doing that, they know there's a real value here.
Yep.
And I think that's another good thing as well that, like yourself, that we'd met before
Yep.
being part of this program, but there's
Yep.
so many people I was aware of in the community, like Nick Dolman and many
Yep.
other people out there, and getting to know them better as part of this
Yeah.
cohort because we all set up a group and we all got to know
Yep.
each other, and many of us set up allies as well, two other people
Yeah.
that we could connect and have close conversations with.
Yep.
It was great to hear all these different perspectives. How did you find that? Did you connect with your allies or anyone else particularly well on the cohort that you learned
Yeah.
much from?
Yeah. So this is really embarrassing. I know that we had the allies at the beginning and it slipped my mind until you mentioned it just now. So, um,
Sorry.
little embarrassing, but no, the WhatsApp group was brilliant. Yeah, at times it was a little overwhelming because there's just like so much coming through, but it's just so awesome to connect with everybody. I'll tell you a funny story. So early in the challenge, so I want to say this is like January, February timeframe. Um, Someone reached out to me on LinkedIn for some help with low code plugins, and we set up a call and we worked through it. And anyways, while we're on this call, we worked out that we're both in the cohort together in the 90-day mentoring challenge. So yeah, it
Wow.
was like, wow, this is awesome, small world. So
It
yeah,
really is. It really is. I think the last video, we did what wasn't related to this challenge, but it
yeah,
just happened we were both on the challenge, and we did a brief video of you doing some great stuff with low code plugins, exploring them, and kind of
you
combining our
troubleshot them for
skills.
me. So yeah, thank you again.
Yeah. That's it. Every day's a school day. I think we both learned a lot from that one, so that was good.
Yeah,
But yeah, I agree. I mean, to be fair, the allies thing, I did reach out to the two allies assigned. I think we all had them assigned from a big list,
yeah,
and I think one I didn't really hear back from. I don't know if I used the right messaging channel, and the other one it was we never really spoke again. But again, within the group,
yeah,
the big WhatsApp group we had,
yeah,
I know there's now an alumni group, so we can all like keep connected and keep
yep,
keep that
yep,
collaboration going, which is great.
yeah,
But that's something I'm looking forward to going forward is maybe going back and catching up on, as you say, this fire hose of videos and messages people
yep,
put of, you know what, I just can't keep up with it these couple of days. I'm
yep,
super busy. I'll return to it, and I'll probably go
yep.
back and do that soon. I hope.
Yeah, same, same. And I find, I mean, I don't know what your experience was, Keith, but in terms of the WhatsApp group and whatnot, like, yeah, there there's this core of people who are really into it and put a lot into it and got a lot out of it. And I think, it's like anything in life, right? What you put into it, you'll get out of it. So if you just want to take it and kind of watch the videos on 1.5 speed and then go about your day, I mean, you'll learn a thing or two. But if you really engage with the group, these are the people that, I don't know if we're allowed to swear, but these are the people that give a shit, right? We might have to bleep that out, but they care. And these are going to be the movers and shakers and the trendsetters and the tastemakers in the biz apps world. And so this is, um, Jim Rohn was a motivational speaker years ago. Always used to say that you're the average of the 5 people you spend time with. And so, you know, the people that are really putting into this in the cohort, they're gonna rub off on you and help you elevate your game and vice versa. And so, yeah, it's there's just so much value in being part of the cohort and really participating. And yeah,
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and that's a really good saying as well, because it can really sort of shock you and make you aware of the company you keep, and that
yeah,
the kind of effort you put in is really going to reflect your principles, your output, what you create as well.
yeah,
But yeah, I found the same as well. Like you say, there was a core set, and I think around that time as well, I was quite busy in and outside of work with various community things, various other
yeah,
life things, and the day job as well. I was still getting used to a new job at the time as well, that I
yeah,
joined in December, just gone. So I found the
yeah,
same as that. There were some days I got a bit of the FOMO of like, I wish I had more time to invest. Like, I'm seeing these
yeah,
people putting long form messages and putting
yeah,
some really good insights, but then I would
yeah,
learn from them, read them, and then try and return it or reply, and
yeah,
share other knowledge as well. But I knew it was not quite the same level that some of the core people were putting in.
yeah,
So another, maybe another benefit for me to take on another cohort in future of, when I've got more time to commit to that,
yeah,
again, I'll likely get more out of it for doing that as
yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah, 100%. And yeah, I mean, as alumni of this, yeah, I mean, I would love to pay it forward and help mentor others that are going through it or thinking about going through it. Yeah, anybody who sees this and thinking about it, reach out. You know, I will strongly encourage you to do it. Yeah, because I've seen it. I've seen, just the transformation in my own life and career from the things I learned in this program. Just, yeah, it's been amazing. So,
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. And I think it's going to be similar, where I've got a to-do list of, not as in a list as in a job, but as in things that I'm
yep,
raring to get stuck into. Of, what, some of the things that surprised me as well were things that I don't normally take into account with my role, where I've mostly been a developer in
yep,
delivery. I'm now a solution architect,
yep,
but there's things that are kind of on the periphery for me that I wish were more part of my core role, like change and adoption.
yeah,
I work with some people who do great change and adoption where I work at the moment,
yeah,
and there's whole courses and certifications and pro sci training and ADCAR
yep,
models and all these things that, I got to be honest, I didn't know much about those things, but I'm
yep,
like, they are so valuable, and if I
100%.
take them,
Yeah,
you know into the workflow that I do more seriously and more
yep,
thoroughly, I'm like, that's probably going to change how I work projects going forward.
yeah,
So they're the things I want to revisit and maybe take on some of that training and
yep,
just expand my skill set, to be honest.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. No, same. I've found using some of the techniques, I do find that you bump up against a bit of resistance. And so, using some of those design thinking techniques, and you know how it is, someone comes to you and they're like, we want a canvas app for this, how long is it going to take? And they want you to give them a number, and you start asking questions. Who's using this? What's the context? Are they on a tablet? Are they sitting at a desk? Are they, you're kind of automatically starting to do this stuff that you've learned about just from the brief time Mark took us through design thinking. And you find that people from a more traditional way of approaching this, they start to get really frustrated with you because they're like, just tell me how long it's going to take. And you're like, I can't do
Give me a
that.
number. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if we want to create something they're going to love, like I can't do that. But yeah, so and yeah, so I've had a few experiences like that recently, but I'm convinced that, this is the way to do it. Like if we're going to create apps and experiences that people are going to love, then we have to start adopting these design thinking and UX type approaches. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think sometimes, particularly when I was younger, I was a bit more of a perfectionist mindset.
Yep.
So when I was doing like requirements gathering or that kind of process of a sprint zero or
Yep.
discovery or envisioning, I know some organizations have a different term there, is that sometimes I'd have my checklist, but it wouldn't be thorough. Oh, I've missed the migration, but of course they need that. And it's,
Yep.
always a bigger task than you originally think, or
Yep.
oh, I never checked about security roles. They might need admins or super users which have
Yep.
a different portal or even a different app potentially to go in
Yeah.
and manage the reference information or
Yep.
create new user accounts. I'm like, oh, I've missed that. That means I've missed it off my time estimates. That means I've missed it off what their expectation is as well.
Yep.
And back when it was like waterfall or agile type approach,
Yep. Yeah.
methodologies that used to run, I'm like, oh, that's not a 2 month thing now. That could be a 3 month thing now, and
Yep.
I've missed bits. So yeah, like you say, with the design thinking, I love, oh, here's your checklist, here's to cover these bases, and here's
Yeah.
how to approach them. And sometimes give the customer a bit of homework. Again, I'm speaking as a consultant here,
Yep.
to go back and think about these things, bring back the
Yep.
personas that would be using this.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think the same as you, I'm going to be using this a lot more often
Yep.
now that I'm aware of it.
Yeah. 100%. Especially because I don't know what your experience has been, Keith, but mine is when you sit down to do that sprint zero, that A&D analysis and design phase with the customer, it's generally, okay, we want a brand new app. We want it to work exactly the same way as the old app. And you're like, then why are we doing this? Like, let's reimagine
Yeah,
it. Let's
yeah,
let's start with data and process, and then let's figure out what the app does from there. But let's not just take the old app and stick it into Power Apps. Like that's a
yeah.
recipe for failure. But that tends to be, when you sit down and you just go, okay, tell us what it does, and then it's like, okay, yeah, we can do that in Power Apps, and then we're like, why do they hate it?
Hey, it's just got a slicker UI now. But yeah,
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
that term I've heard before of, fitting the process around the technology and not the
Yep.
technology, around the process.
Yep.
It's kind of, yeah, what's going to be more useful instead of 3 clicks? Could that be 1 click?
Yep.
Could that be automated? As you
Exactly.
say, there's so many ways you could approach the solution in a new way, and maybe, kind of, automate or speed things up and free up people's time to use it
Yeah.
in the best way with their skill sets. You don't want
Yeah.
them be doing repeatable admin boring work, right?
Yeah. It's really funny about that because um, in New Zealand, we have a lot of people who do jobs that haven't existed in the UK and the US and elsewhere for decades, but we just, we're just not as productive here. It's a thing. New Zealand is just not as productive. I'm probably going to get canceled for that, but it's true, right? And when I am sitting, doing my job, my consultant brain just never shuts off, and I'll start asking questions and say, "Would you like to automate that?" And people get really upset, and they're like, "No, what will I do all day?" And I'm like, "It's your company. Do whatever you want." Like, but yeah, people they get really defensive about like, no, I will do these admin tasks because that is what I do here. And yeah, and so I find that at least in the New Zealand context, that's the biggest challenge that we have, and when we're trying to help people reimagine their business processes, is there's just a lot of resistance to
And it's
yeah, taking away the thing that I do here. So
an
yeah.
interesting challenge as well. I imagine, sometimes the mindset of we've always done it that way, or this is the
Yep.
way it works. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good you mentioned the design thinking, because I remember some things there where there was an exercise where you gave the end users a creative freedom with a matrix to say, how could this work? What
Yeah,
in perfect world would you just click a button and it would do, it would do
yeah,
everything for you? Or
yeah,
would you want to go through those steps because you need to manually check it as you go? Is that why you're holding on to, I need
yeah,
to go through the steps manually? So
yeah,
yeah, even thinking out loud now as well, I'm thinking, oh, yeah, there's things I could apply to, in their words, how would you want it to work?
yeah,
What would it do? Why are you doing it in the first place?
yeah,
Things like that. Um, Another interesting thing as well, we talked about like people in the community, people again with some awards. There was even interesting parts of the module on this challenge where it was talking about becoming an MVP, what
yeah,
that looks like, what the journey
yeah,
might be, and what
yeah,
really, qualifies someone to be an MVP and
yeah,
earn that award in the
yeah,
first place. So
yeah,
you mentioned before you taken this mentoring challenge before becoming an
yeah,
MVP. So
yeah.
again, would you say, did you feel this kind of helped you on that journey? Or
100%. Yeah, 100%. I would not have become an MVP without having gone through the mentoring challenge. And I mean, I guess I would preface it with this is not necessarily MVP boot camp, right? If you do not want to become a Microsoft MVP, you are still going to realize enormous value from this in terms of your career. Just the communication techniques, design thinking, just understanding how Microsoft works is
Mm.
just going to help you immensely in your career. Um, so it's really interesting, yeah, that whole MVP journey because. On Mark's MVP show podcast, he interviewed. There's a gentleman in the U.S. by the name of Paul Stork. He's a MVP on, I think he's more on the ERP side. But when he talked about his MVP journey, he said, if you want to be an MVP, you're not ready to be an MVP. And once you're at the point where I'm going to talk about this stuff, whether you award me MVP or not, you're ready, and and that was 100% my journey. I was nominated so you and I were the class of June 2023.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same month. Yeah,
Um, and so I was nominated a few months before that, and because it takes a few months to go through that process.
same.
But I was at the point where I was like, if this never happens, I've already won. The things I've learned, the things I get to do, the people I interact with, and the people I've met, like that's the victory. And I mean, it's funny because I posted to the group, yeah, the other day that if you laid it all out on a spreadsheet, right? You probably could not make a business case for everything that you do to be and you know, fingers crossed, maintained the MVP award, right? Like it's it is very much a labor of love. But I think kind of like having kids, like if you put it in a spreadsheet, you'd be like, why would anybody ever do this? But it comes down to, it's this real passion and love that we have for these technologies and the community around it that drives you to do it. And, you know, the MVP award is wonderful. I mean, I'm hugely proud to have gotten it, but with or without it, like I'm passionate about this stuff. I'm going to talk about it, no matter what. So, because I really love it. So yeah, but I mean, I guess to get back to the original question, um, you know, going through the modules in this mentoring challenge will definitely help expedite you on the way to becoming an MVP if that's something you desire. It will definitely help you understand the mindset of someone who has that award and the types of things that they do and the type of person that they are will help you become that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's really well put. And I think a similar thing of, if you enjoy doing that community work, I heard someone mention about an award that they got the award because they love doing community work, but
yeah,
they weren't doing the community work to specifically gain the
yeah,
award. It was one of those nice things that came along the way,
yep,
and it could be, as you say, this, I think that this mentoring challenge was great for thinking about your career in general, whether that's winning an award or looking for that next role. So
yep,
someone actually in the cohort reached out to me yesterday and asked me about, they were interested in applying for a role and asked if I would look at their CV, give them a review, give them some honest feedback. And there was a couple of roles they had in mind and which would be the best fit for them, which I
Yep.
thought was really, something that they would know better than me, but I could give some input anyway,
Yep.
if it was useful. But it was interesting that with this challenge of, like, say, opening your eyes to, hey, there might be roles in Microsoft.
Yep.
You might become an MVP and then join Microsoft. You might just go
Yep.
straight to Microsoft, or work for Microsoft partners, such as you and
Yep.
I do. We work for different
Yep.
Microsoft partners.
Yep.
Or you might be like Mark himself and Meg, who go freelance and you run your
Yep.
own thing. Yeah,
Yep.
there's so many options out there, and whether there's
Yeah.
awards in the running or not, or whether you love changing adoption so much you become a pro
Yep.
sci expert and you totally
Yeah.
go on a tangent.
Yep.
I think just opening your eyes and seeing what was out there for me personally
Yep.
was kind of mind blowing, because now I'm like, I thought I had these opportunities out there to look into.
Yep.
I've actually got so much more that
Yep.
I could consider, and maybe have a roadmap on my 12, 24, 36-month career plan of, hey,
Yeah.
I'll be flexible and pivot, but I might actually change direction at some point in
Yep.
future,
Yeah.
no matter what that is. So that was a big thing for me, just, I guess, opening my mind to what else was out
Yeah.
there.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. It just,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I mean, yeah, we tend to think like, okay, I could work for an end customer or I could be a consultant, and it's like that's actually really limiting. There's so much you can do in the BizApp space. And yeah, Mark really opened my eyes to that, and I'm starting to think in terms of, okay, what's next for me. I mean, I would say if you're approaching the mentoring challenge, I would say the best thing to do is just go in with an open mind. Don't go in with a preset, I want to become an MVP, I want to become a consultant, I want, just go in with an open mind, because the things you'll learn, some stuff will be more interesting to you than others. And I mean, it's all great content, but some of it will just resonate more with you than other bits of it. And the bits that just make your heart sing, just really index on that and go deep into it. And yeah, so I'd say just approach it with an open mind, and then kind of wander and see where you end up.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think that can apply to a lot of things in life, but certainly with this program, if you're open and ready to learn, and I think by nature of joining these kind of mentoring challenges, you're open, you want to learn and grow and develop more. Again,
Yep.
there's some people in the group, when they saw people ex Microsoft or MVP or ex MVPs join,
Yep.
and I think some people were, hinted in the chat of, well, you've achieved all these massive goals. You're now freelance. You've been ex
Yep.
Microsoft. You're an MVP. You've achieved
Yeah.
all these heights. What else have you got left to learn while you're here? And I think some of the good feedback, those high achievers that were on there, or people with these, big awards and things, were saying,
Yep.
well, I'm always learning and growing. There's always something
Yeah.
next. I don't know what's next on my,
Yep.
1, 2, 3 year plan, or what the future brings. So this is, kind of learning more and paying it forward and helping others on the mentoring challenge as
100%.
well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. There's so much you can take out of this program. It was really, really valuable for me, I have to
Yeah.
say.
Same. And I mean, I guess my experience over the last few years is, things have started to, really materialize for me. And, my career has taken off, and I've gotten some recognition and some awards, is that as you, like, I used to have that more fixed mindset of once you've got the thing, you've got the thing, and, what's next. But what I'm experiencing over the last couple of years is, as you start to achieve your goals and dreams, your dreams just get bigger. Like, I mean, some of the stuff that I'm thinking about in terms of content or stuff that I want to do, like, it just gets bigger. And in some ways, some of the stuff that I want to do, like, it scares me. Like, you know, I've never done that before. That's, but it's exciting at the same time. And it's like, yeah. So, I mean, that's what I've found is, yeah, just opening your mind up, and you start going, okay, yeah, there's bigger stuff out there that I can go for. And yeah, it's that's very much been my experience over the last few years. So
Love that, actually. Yeah, dreaming big and thinking big things. And, I've heard people say that if you're out your comfort zone, that's when you really learn and grow, because you're really pushing
exactly.
yourself. And,
Yeah.
I've certainly had that the last few years with some of the roles I've had of, like, well, this is a bit scary. Yeah, I need to build, design and build something I've never done before. There's a tight
Yep.
deadline, or
Yep.
there's a really sort of gnarly, tricky, complex use case here. Oof,
Yeah.
never done it before. But you've got to do something once to
Yep.
really learn how to do it. And it's
Exactly.
taking on that challenge and being open-minded to it, and like, you know
Yeah.
what, I'm up for this.
Yep.
Let bring it on. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Challenge
that's
accepted. Yeah.
yes. Now you're talking. Yeah, good attitude to have. So
Yeah.
I guess if we want to kind of maybe wrap things up a bit here,
Yeah, because we could gush for hours and
yeah, we we probably would.
yeah.
So yeah, I guess for people watching or listening to this, where could they learn more about this, Nathan?
Yeah, so the website is ako.enzo365guy.com. And just look for the 90-day mentoring challenge. Hit Keith or myself up on socials, or Mark or Meg up on socials. We're on all the things. We can tell you all about it and get you to the right resources. Yeah, Keith, any final words before we sign off?
Yeah, no, I think that's really well put, Nathan. Thanks for that. Just as Nathan says, you can always reach out. As you could tell by people taking this challenge, we love mentoring others as well. We love helping others, and yeah, we'd be more than happy to help if anyone's got any questions as well. So no, I think other than to say, Nathan, it's always a pleasure chatting with you. It's been
Likewise,
great catching up,
likewise. Yeah, it's
and
been fun.
yeah,
Yeah, Mark,
um,
Meg, thank you so much. Aroha to both of you. That's love and te reo Maori. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for all you do for us. Yeah, and yeah, Keith, this has been fun, man. Thank you so much.
yeah, you got it, and completely agree. Yeah, I think the course they've delivered, even for the cost that it is, it really is. It's quite mind blowing actually. And there may be some discounts out there.
Yep,
Mark and Meg regularly post online about
yep,
promotions and when it's coming up for the next cohort. But no, other than that, I'd say if you are looking into it, I think you're really going to get a lot from it. And yeah, other than that, take care, and we'll see you again soon.
yep. Go do something awesome today on the Power Platform.
Perfect words to end that on. Thanks all.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.